What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? We have a special guest from Chiefs Focus, JP. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. So let's just jump into this craziness that came out today. Someone offered Travis Kelsey
Yeah.
$500,000 to leave the Kansas City Chiefs and play for the Cleveland Browns. What in the world do you think about all that? It ain't happening, I can tell you that.
Well, Machine Gun Kelly, he had to borrow that money from his girlfriend. But yeah, that's just him begging for, that's a hope and that's a pipe dream. Kelsey ain't leaving Kansas City. He's going to retire a Chief. 500 grand is nothing for him. He makes that when he does a commercial. He makes
Right.
that in 30 seconds. So why would he go to the Browns and not get another Super Bowl ring? You know, that's
Yeah.
just Machine Gun Kelly wishing and praying and hoping that he could get a team that is put together as well as ours is. That's not
Don't
going
the
to happen in
Browns
Cleveland.
don't the Browns have a decent tight end? Isn't his name like David Njoku or something like that?
Yeah, he's actually a pretty good tight end. He's probably, I think he's ranked seventh in the league right now. As far
Yeah,
as, or
they
no,
don't
he's
they
actually
don't
better than that. He's actually, as far as tight ends are concerned, I think he's ranked fourth or fifth
they don't really
behind.
need Travis Kelsey.
No, they need a quarterback,
Right. Yeah, they need
no
a
matter how you
yeah,
look at it. So,
yeah, that's for sure. And then earlier this week, some more Travis Kelsey stuff. He did say that retirement has been on his mind more than ever, which is gonna suck if he does end up retiring. But I hope we can win at least one more Super Bowl. What direction do you think General Manager Brett Veach is going to go once Travis Kelsey isn't here anymore? Do you try and get a new Travis Kelsey in the draft, or do you trade for somebody? What do you think he would want to do?
well, knowing Veach, he'd want to do it out of the draft. And last year, he actually did try to get the kid that he actually went to UNLV, ended up going to the Bills.
Oh yeah, Dalton Kincaid. Yeah, I like him
Dalton
a lot.
Kincaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted Dalton Kincaid. There is a kid in this draft that's probably going to go really high in the draft. I believe his name is Brock Bowers.
Yeah, Brock Bowers from
Um,
Georgia. Yep.
he is another one that is a little more talented, I think, than Kincaid is as far as being polished. I mean, they both modeled their game after Kelsey,
Mhm.
but one I think is a little bit more athletic, and that's Brock Bowers. The problem is that Brock Bowers is going to go really early in the draft. And if Veach wants to replace Travis Kelsey with another player close to him, he's going to have to buy up to get to that point. That's going to be the problem. I just don't see how we can get him unless he sees if he pulls a Mahomes and jumps 17 spots to get him. Okay, but I don't. I just don't see it happening unless somehow, some way, Veach just decides to give up the draft capital.
You know,
So
I would love to trade up and get Brock Bowers. He is such he does a great job at Georgia. Um, but again, yeah, you're gonna have to give up a lot to. You probably got to get the fifth overall pick, maybe even the
yeah,
fourth to
yeah,
get him, and that's gonna be that's even higher than Mahomes. Mahomes was 10th, so they would have to trade up a lot, and
yeah.
I don't think that Veach is not really the one to do that. Usually, he usually trades up sometimes in the drafts. He trades up always in the draft, actually, not always in the first round. That could be fourth round, fifth round, like he did last year
Yeah,
to trade up. I think he traded up for Wanya Morris, and so I think he's always going to trade up in the draft. Just might not be the first round. Um, but yeah, you're gonna have to trade up a lot to get Brock
yeah.
Bowers. That's for sure.
The one
And
thing
then,
that I think is helping that may push him back a little bit in the draft this year is the fact that there's three quarterbacks that, and there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, and there's three that are probably going to go fairly early. But then you have a really heavy wide receiver draft this year. So the only team that I can see that would try to leapfrog us for him is Cincinnati because they
they need
want
a
to beat
tight
us so
end.
badly, and they need one.
Right. Yeah.
So the fact that they're probably going to go out, middle of the pack, as far as the draft picks are concerned now, um, probably won't make the playoffs. That will leapfrog them up a little bit in the draft. But I don't know that. I mean, I don't know how that would work out. You never know. Crazier things have happened. Mahomes went 10th. Nobody really expected that. So if you really look at it, I mean, who knows if Brock Bowers doesn't go 10th, 12th in that range. Last year, Kincaid was supposed to go in the top 5. He didn't. So crazier things have happened. Teams, they wait around and see what they can get. But I do have a feeling he's definitely going to be in the top 10. So it's going to be hard to get him. It's going to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and if we don't get Brock Bowers, I do think Veach is still going to get a tight end in the draft. I don't know. That could be second round, fourth round, seventh round. I don't know. But I think we need to start looking at the future because Travis Kelce's 34 years old. And I think if we win the Super Bowl this year, I think there's a very, very good chance that he retires. But I don't see him retiring without one more Super Bowl. So I think he wants to stay until we get one more. But again, if the injuries hold him back, they hold him back.
Well, he had one significant injury this year, and that was his knee. He got banged up a little bit, in the fourth game of the season, or his fourth game playing, I should say. So it would be game 5. But he's finally starting to come around. And I think people are mistaking his. They're looking at him from a different viewpoint. He is still on par to have 1,152 yards this year, regardless of how you look at it. The difference this year compared to last year and previous years is that he is now triple teamed versus double teamed because they're not scared of our wide receivers. So if they don't have any fear anywhere else on the field, they're going to go after the best guy on the field. And that's what they've been doing to him. The Raiders game changed a whole lot about the dynamic of this football team because they put the right people on the field. Travis got open. He was able to get open. And when he gets open, he gets yak. He gets touchdowns. He gets 100 yards. He's not playing any different than he did last year or the year before, other than the fact that he's triple teamed. He's played through injuries multiple times in his career. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, even if we won the Super Bowl this year, I don't know that he would retire. And I say that just because I know he said at one point that he wanted to play until he was 37. He wants to try to get the touchdown record, and I know he wants to beat out Gronk for everything. And the only thing he's lacking right now, other than rings, I think, is touchdowns. I think he has 74 and Gronk has 95, if I'm not mistaken.
Couple more seasons, he'll pass it.
Exactly. So if he plays this year, if he played until he was, the 2025 season, through the 2025 season, then he can retire at basically age 35, 36, get his extra ring, maybe 2, and go out happy guy.
Yeah.
So.
And let's talk about Marquez Valdes-Scantling for a second. Now, a lot of people are overreacting about this, and I have to calm a lot of people down on this subject. If Marquez Valdes-Scantling would have caught the ball, we would have probably won the game. He was wide open.
We would have won the game, yeah.
Yeah. He should have caught it. He should have caught it. But people are overreacting just because he makes finally one mistake. He did phenomenal last year, helped us win the Super Bowl. Now he makes one mistake. Oh my gosh, everybody wants to cut him. Cut MVS, cut MVS. So you're telling me if Patrick Mahomes has a 3-interception game and he loses us the game, which that doesn't happen, but I'm saying if it did, are we going to cut Patrick Mahomes? No, it's called a mistake. So people are really overreacting about Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I do not want him cut. Now, if he continues to play bad, well, I wouldn't say he's playing bad. He just has to get more targets and catch. But if he continues to drop passes, or can continue to not get open, then maybe the Chiefs will opt to let him go because he does have a hefty cap hit. But he is a reliable receiver. I really like Marcus Valdez-Scantling, and just because one person makes a mistake, it doesn't mean they should lose their job. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has made plenty of mistakes, and we wouldn't dare cut him. So, and I know you cannot compare Marcus Valdez-Scantling to Patrick Mahomes, but
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Valdez-Scantling is a reliable receiver and a clutch receiver at times, especially in the playoffs last year. He did phenomenal in the Cincinnati Bengals AFC Championship game. So now he makes a mistake and everybody wants him cut. And I don't agree
Well,
with
here's the
it.
thing. Here's the thing. He's making more money this year than all of our wide receivers combined. All of them. So fans are always going to overreact. That's just how fans are. That ball for a good any wide receiver would have been hard to catch because it was a little overthrown. He dove a little bit too early. He really didn't dive. He was kind of on the way down anyway, but it's a hard ball to catch. Even Tyreek Hill came on and said, there's a lot of guys that wouldn't have made that catch. It wasn't easy. But his I guess my point is when you have a kink in the chain's going to break. One wide receiver making mistakes on the field, running the wrong route, um, can cause something like that to happen. And he's had a few drops this year, but so has Travis Kelce. So is Rashee Rice, which you expect out of Rashee Rice. He's a rookie.
Right.
Everybody's had some drops. The difference is he wasn't brought in to be the number one wide receiver. He was brought in to be the deep threat decoy. And that's exactly what he did last year. And he did step up and he helped us a lot. This year, it's been a little more difficult, but it's been more difficult for Kelce. It's been more difficult for everybody. Justin Watson's been the only reliable wide receiver because nobody really fears him. And he does get separation. But when you
No,
have guys
Justin
out there
Watson,
that he's been great, you
he's
know.
yeah, he's done phenomenal. Yeah.
Yes. He's not an over the middle guy. He's had a couple of drops over the middle, but that's not ever been his forte anyway. The problem is that you have a lot of young guys on this football team that were getting acclimated, trying to learn a very difficult system, and it puts a kink for the guys that are really good. You know, Travis Kelce, even though he's got over 700 yards and 6 touchdowns, he probably, if you had a wide receiver that really put fear into somebody those first 10 games, then he probably would be close to 1,000 yards already and probably would have probably 8, 9 touchdowns at this point in the season. And that's with missing a game. And that people don't realize that he's missed a game, a full game.
Right.
So, and then really was on a snap count the next game. It's just, it's hard when you have guys, Sky Moore made a lot of mistakes this year. Tony didn't do the greatest the second when he did come back. It's just hard when you have kinks in the chain. My thing is what we did Sunday to the Raiders, the packages that we put out there is the packages that I've been pounding the table for 5 weeks. I understand the first 5 weeks. You're trying to get everybody, you're trying to figure out who's good, who's not, who can run in which package, who can play, have continuity with others, who can catch the football, who can run the right routes. I get all of that. But at some point, you have to break free and say, okay, wait, we know Noah Gray can catch. Why has he not been out on the field? We know that McKinnon is our best deep red zone threat. So why has he not been in the red zone as much? Why haven't we used Pacheco in the passing game as much? So all those things add up. It took a little, it's kind of like how we used to do with our defense. It took Spags 8 weeks to get the defense going every year throughout his career. But he always had, top 5, top 8 defenses for the most part after that got going. Once he got his crew together, they were top 5, top 8. We're ranked second overall right now. Our offense is not. But weirdly enough, Patrick Mahomes is like fourth in passing. So it's just, you got to have continuity. Everybody has to be on the same page. We're in a very difficult very difficult offensive scheme. And if you really look at it from a long-term perspective, there's been 4 wide receivers in Andy Reid's career, rookie wide receivers, that have been over 700 yards their first season.
I
And
got Rasheed Rice.
Deshaun Jackson, Tyreek Hill, who else? One other one. I can't think of his name right now. And now you got Rasheed Rice. It's probably going to eclipse 900 yards.
Yeah, Rasheed Rice right now, 527 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns. He's doing phenomenal. For a wide receiver, it's hard to succeed in Andy Reid's, rookie wide receiver in Andy Reid's system for the first year. Receivers usually do not do too well. That's just a known
No.
fact. And he's doing pretty well. He's doing
Yeah.
good.
And that's for a guy that didn't get a lot of snaps for the first really 7 weeks of the season. He didn't 8 weeks really. He didn't get a whole bunch of snaps. So, he got 40 snaps in that Raiders game. Forced the hand. That's what you do. You got McCole Hardman on IR. You got Tony out of the game. Who are you going to play? You're going to play Rasheed Rice. You're going to play the guys that you can play. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. And I think they put Noah Gray in the game. He played phenomenal. So it's just once you find what clicks, you stick with what clicks. And that's what they've done. Now, when McKinnon does come back, they need to use him in the red zone for the rest of the season because that's what he's phenomenal in the red zone. He's our best red zone threat. Him and Kelce together were the best 2 red zone threats the last 3 years. I understand he's older, and I know they want to preserve him. But red zone threats, third down plays in the red zone, there's a minimal risk of getting injured. If you don't want to play him in the middle, on the 50-yard line, I get it. But those red zone touchdowns mean a lot, and that's why we didn't score in the second half of most of those games.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since we're on the topic of offense, let's talk about former Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. He's in Washington now, doing a decent job for the offense. I know somebody. He's a crazy Commanders fan, and I hear every day. I don't hear the end of it every day. Sam Howell, best stats in the league. Mahomes is worse because Nagy's taken over as the offensive coordinator. What do you have to say to him right now? What do you have to say? I will show him. Okay. I'm not downplaying Eric Bieniemy. I think he's a great coach, but what do you have to say?
Okay, first of all, Sam Howell's doing well because he's got great offensive weapons. He's got Scary Terry out there. He's got a really good offensive group around him. His stats are good, but his stats can only get you so far. Wins mean everything. And right now, they're losing. And they have a losing record. It's not just because of their defense. So he's not putting up 5 touchdowns a game. He's not doing anything that any other mediocre quarterback in this league is doing. I mean, Brock Purdy's actually playing better than him. And he was Mr. Irrelevant. So as far as Eric Bieniemy is concerned, he's doing an okay job, but that's no different than what they did last year. Their record is indicative of what it was last year. A lot of people are blaming Ron Rivera, but Eric Bieniemy has 100% of the play calling abilities. He's the one that calls all the offensive plays. So it takes time to build a roster and build a team, and I'm not saying Eric can't do that. I'm just saying Sam Howell he doesn't have a bunch of rookies around him. He's got a top 8 wide receiver in the league in every play. Terry McLaurin is no joke. It's apples and oranges because Mahomes is playing with rookies, first-year guys in our system, and Travis Kelce. That's all he's got. It's not like he has Miami's offense. He doesn't even have Washington's offense. He's lucky that he's got a great offensive line. But Sam Howell, yeah, he may have I don't know if his stats are better or not. I really don't know. Maybe he's got less interceptions, but as far as all around play, it's not comparable because you gotta look at the entire package. You can't just look at one thing.
Yeah,
And
that's
right now,
exactly
you know,
that's what I
we're
fire
we're,
back
we're
with.
lacking in that area. Yeah, we're
They're
just
they're fi-
lacking in that
they're
area.
they're 4-7. I think they're 4-7 or 4-8
Yeah,
actually. Four
yeah,
and eight, and we're 8-3.
8-3.
8-3, yeah. So yeah, that's what I say every time. Record, you ain't making the playoffs, and yeah, I don't. He's delusional. I don't know what to say to him, but
Hey, you know
so
what? Take a look at this. The one thing you can go back to him and say is Kirk Cousins was with Washington for 5 years. In those 5 years, he had 4,000 plus yard seasons. When he left Washington, he had an overall losing record. That should tell you everything. Doesn't really make a difference how great your quarterback's doing if he can't finish it. And it's kind of indicative of what's going on with Sam Howell. He kind of reminds me of Kirk Cousins in some ways because they're both playing the same style of football, and yet they both have losing records. So,
yep. So offensive coordinator Matt Nagy. How
mhm.
do you think he's doing? Obviously, we got these rookie wide receivers. I think we were leading the NFL in drops. Um, we might still be. I haven't looked in a few days, but so the offense is struggling and the defense is doing good. Usually it's flipped. Usually the defense isn't
Mhm.
like how it is now, and usually the offense is dynamic. This year it's I'm still waiting
Yeah,
for it to click. The two
yeah.
problems, uh, we need to fix the penalties and the drops. Jawan Taylor, I think he's getting picked on a little bit by the refs.
He's been targeted all year long.
Yeah, I know he starts really quick, but you go back and look, there's only been a few times that he has really gone, a false start. He's getting picked on uh too much, and I don't think it's really fair. So, but he just I think the solution to that is Andy said he has to slow it down, and he's gonna have to, or else he's gonna constantly get picked on. So he's gonna have to slow down and be slower coming off when it's snapped, so he doesn't get targeted as much. Uh, but how do you think offensive coordinator Matt Nagy is doing? We got to fix a lot of these mistakes, though.
He's got it. He came into a tough situation. It wasn't like he walked in with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey, Sammy Watkins, all the good players that we had 3 years ago, 4 years ago. He came in with a bunch of rookies. Really, when you think about it, you got Tony, you got Rice, you got Sky Moore. Tony and Sky Moore are second year players. Rice is a first year player. So if you really want to consider everything, you got a bunch of really four string wide receivers out there playing, with the exception of Travis Kelsey. So to be 8-3, and I know our defense has done a lot of that, but we have to score to be able to win, regardless of what our defense has done. People
Right.
still score points. So I don't think he's doing a bad job. I think some of the mistakes are fear because when you have young guys, you kind of dummy down the playbook a little bit and you don't put so much trust in them as you should. And I think some of those behind the line of scrimmage screen passes need to go away. But other than that, I don't think he's done a horrible job. Um, Sunday, I know he requested to be let alone and just let him play his game. And he did. And they put the right people on the field. Now they're building some trust. And once that trust is built, then things will turn around. But it takes time. This is the first year Mahomes has not had a true 1,000-yard receiver or a veteran to some degree
Excluding
in the wide
Travis
receiver
Kelsey,
room.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
excluding
yeah.
Travis Kelsey. And we don't expect MVS to be a 1,000-yard receiver. We didn't expect it when he came in, and we don't expect it now. So It's just difficult. You're getting everything acclimated. You're building. You basically started over with a new offense. With the exception of the offensive line, you got a lot of new guys there. You didn't know what Pacheco was going to do until he did it. So yeah, he was great last year. He wasn't so great in the passing game out of the backfield. Now he is. So it's just a matter of finding that groove and getting into that groove and putting the right packages on the field to succeed. And letting Mahomes play his game, because holding him back holds the team back. He's an intelligent guy. He's got a photographic memory. He reads defenses better than any quarterback in the 32 years I've been around football. I don't know, other than Joe Montana, I don't know another quarterback that reads defenses or has ever read defenses as well as Mahomes does and remembers it from year to year. He remembers individual players and how they come off the ball, how they react, how they cut, how everything. He knows what they do. That's very difficult to understand and to remember, but he does it. So you got to put more trust in your quarterback and let him go out there and do his thing too. So I don't think he's done a
Yeah.
horrible job. He's just
He's
came into a different situation.
Yeah, you put any other. I mean, you put our backup quarterback Blaine Gabbert in the situation Mahomes is in, and I mean, we have Andy Reid, so I don't know we'd have a losing record, but it definitely would not be as good as 8-3. I'll tell you that. So
No,
Mahomes is
no.
doing a phenomenal job. So let's talk about L'Jarius Sneed now. A lot of people do not think he returns after this season.
No.
Phenomenal corner. It's going to be a hefty paycheck to bring him back. I do not think that Beach brings L'Jarius Sneed back. And the reason is, you look at the last few drafts we've had, and Veach is drafting corners that looks like maybe to replace L'Jarius Sneed. He's drafted Joshua Williams. He's drafted Najee Johnson. He's drafted Jalen Watson. Tamari Connor now was just drafted. Of just a few picks off of what L'Jarius Sneed was drafted. Uh, so, do you see L'Jarius Sneed coming back? It's going to be a hefty paycheck.
It's going to be hard. I want him to come back. I feel like he would come back on a somewhat of a team friendly deal because he is comfortable. But you have to. I know who he's drafted with Williams and Watson and everybody else. But just when you think about it, who right now on our team in the cornerback room can replace him? And that's how you have to look at it. Who can replace his production right now? I don't think anybody can, or they'd be out there more because he's had a few penalties. They would rotate them more often. But he is a phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal corner. His his corner blitzes are fantastic. He reads the offenses very well. Nobody gets really a pass off on him. I mean, the best acquisition we've had in the cornerback room is McDuffie. Since Sneed. I don't know that any of those guys can step in. And my biggest fear, I think, with this team is breaking up that defense because they all play with so much continuity and they gel so well together. So that's a fear that I have. A lot of people don't think Willie Gay's coming back either. He's the most athletic linebacker in football. It's not a high market position. I think he would come back on a team friendly deal. Unless somebody
Now,
offers him a stupid, stupid contract, I don't see why he would leave.
now with Willie Gay, it's a little bit different. Willie Gay is good, but he's not nowhere near a L'Jarius Sneed. I think Willie Gay would be much much cheaper to bring back. It's still a little
Yeah,
little pricey
position.
because he is good, but it's
Yeah,
not it's not going to be out of this world. So if another team does pay him uh, a crap load, then that would be just on them. But uh, I want to see Willie Gay back. He is awesome. But Drew Tranquil, again, we're recircling. Is Brett Veach trying to replace L'Jarius Sneed? Is he trying to replace Willie Gay? Because Drew Tranquil is now playing phenomenal as well. Uh, but I do think Willie Gay will return because we have one of the best, if not the best, linebacker units in the NFL. Period.
Yeah, and the worst linebacker we have on our team right now is Leo Chenal.
And he's doing good
He's
too.
doing well. He's doing well. Um, but he can't replace Willie Gay. He just can't. He's not there yet. Willie Gay is extremely good at reading offenses. He can read the run. He can read the pass. He's very fast, east to west. He's sideline to sideline. He is all over the field. It's very and he's so fast for a linebacker. It's just very difficult to replace a guy like him. If you look at the defense like you look at maybe an Army Corps, everything starts from the front, your defensive line, and then it goes to your linebackers, then it goes to your secondary. So when one breaks down, if for some reason your defensive line breaks down for some reason, you have to have a linebacker core that can be quick enough, read the breakdown, and be able to stop it. And that's what we have right now. We were missing that in years past, and now we have that. Our secondary doesn't have to jump off their assignments because of breakdowns. And that's what happens, because when your defensive line breaks down, then, we had Anthony Hitchens that was falling apart. Then he would break down, and then next thing you know, you saw Tyrann Mathieu on the opposite side of the field that he started on because he's trying to stop a play. We don't have that problem anymore. So that's something that they have to take into consideration when they're evaluating bringing these players back. So.
Yeah. So I can't remember, but either yesterday or today, the Chiefs signed off the practice squad corner Echo Boydo, Kansas State kid, has some talent. Any playing time for him, you think? I mean, I don't think he's going to get any. If he does,
I think the only reason they did that was just because they had a roster spot to fill, and I think, who was it that was struggling last week? Was it Williams that struggled a little bit against the Raiders or against Philadelphia? I can't remember. One of them was struggling a little bit 2 weeks in a row, and maybe they want to see a change of pace a little bit just to see what happens. But I don't see him getting a whole lot of playing time. But if he does get on the field, it's going to be, let's have to see how he plays out. They brought him up for a reason. I mean, they had an open spot, so they could bring him up. But, as far as his play time is concerned, I don't think it's going to be huge.
Yeah. And then for the last question, let's do a Super Bowl prediction. I'll go first here.
Okay.
The way the Chiefs are playing, they are not going to make it to the Super Bowl unless they can clean up these drops and penalties. The penalties are going to kill them in the playoffs. They need to clean up those two mistakes. Those are the two mistakes right now. They need to clean it up. And I think Andy Reid and Matt Nagy are very capable of helping our guys clean those mistakes up. Jawan Taylor, like I said, don't be as fast coming off the line. And then drops, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a few more games. It's going to take even, after this year, it's going to take some time. But hopefully we can get into the rhythm right when playoff time starts, so we are ready to rock and roll. Hopefully we even get the first round bye. Detroit is playing very good. San Francisco knows how to lose in the NFC Championship game. Philadelphia is obviously doing really good. Did you see what, by the way, did you see what Nick Sirianni did when he got into the tunnel?
The jack off.
Yeah.
He's a jack off. It's just a jack off. I mean, he's the most hated coach in football. He's very immature, very unprofessional, very immature. I have no respect for that man whatsoever. Zero.
Yeah. He's very immature. You're supposed to be a civil, respectful person that leads the team. You're the leader of your team. So when you do that, Andy Reid would never, ever do that. So, but I do think if the Chiefs clean up these mistakes, they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to believe, as a Chiefs fan, I'm going to believe that the greatest head coach of all time, Andy Reid, is going to help our guys fix those mistakes. So I do believe they're going to fix them. And with that, I think this dynamic offense is going to help us get to the Super Bowl, of course, with the dynamic defense. So I do think the Chiefs will make the Super Bowl when they fix up I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's when, because I do know they're going to do it. I think Andy Reid can do that and help them do that. For NFC, Eagles, they're good. Dallas, no. San Francisco, maybe, but I don't think so because they can't get past the NFC Championship game the last few years. For me, it's between Detroit and Philadelphia. Now, do we really think a Super Bowl rematch is going to happen, and do we really think Detroit is going to go? I don't know. I gotta give it to the Eagles. They're so dynamic. I think the Chiefs and Eagles are gonna have another Super Bowl rematch this year.
Okay. I almost tend to agree with you. The only point I would have on the Eagles is this: they have regressed this year. Um, and it's not because of their record. It's because if you look at the last three games, even with us, when they played us, if our offense would have clicked, if it would have been clicking like it was with the Raiders and the drops weren't there, we'd have won by 2 touchdowns because our defense is that good. We shut them down. They didn't it took them 4 quarters to get to the points that they were. They had 14 points for basically 3.5 quarters. So I look at San Francisco and I think, okay, this is a team that's got a phenomenal defense. Their offense is built that any quarterback can succeed, but Brock Purdy is actually playing better than the last 5 quarterbacks that they've had in this offense. I can almost see them upsetting the Eagles in the playoffs. The Cowboys, they have to prove it to me
They're a joke.
because they're
Again, yeah,
just
they
one of
gotta
those
prove it.
teams that they have to prove it. They have a couple of great games, 40-0 game, 40-7 game, whatever, 40-3,
And then they
and
lose to crap
then they lose. Yeah, they
opponents.
lose to
Yeah.
a crap football team. Detroit has done that though. Detroit has kind of shown some glimpses of mediocrity, here of late. So it's really in the NFC, it's kind of anyone's game. Right now, the record is indicative of the Eagles, of course, repeating. Will they get through? Of course, they're probably going to lock up the 1 seed in the NFC because really, I mean, unless they lose 2 or 3 games, and Detroit or San Francisco probably won't get it because I think they've got 5 losses if I'm not mistaken. But um, Detroit could probably sneak it into the 1 seed by winning out and Philadelphia losing 2 or 3 games. Looking at Philadelphia's schedule, for them to lose 2 or 3, it might be a little tough. I know they're playing a lot harder for Jason Kelce because this is his last year. So they're playing a little bit harder for him. He's playing his best football this year, which is pretty phenomenal. I know he wants to get back to the Super Bowl. I mean, the odds are that it'll probably be the Philadelphia Eagles. And honestly, the only team that is a threat to us in the AFC right now is the Ravens. And I don't know that they're that big of a threat.
Lamar Jackson is 1-3 in the playoffs. I'm not scared of the Ravens at all.
Yeah.
And Mark Andrews is now out for a while. The Ravens don't scare me at all. The Bills don't scare me at all. The Bengals do not scare me at all.
No. Well, they're not going to make the playoffs, so.
Right. So no one really scares me right now in the AFC. The Jaguars are not even. They don't scare me. It's a clear pathway for the Chiefs to get there.
They just got to quit beating themselves.
That's all
the biggest thing. The Chiefs have only beat themselves. The 3 losses they've had, they lost on their own. Nobody beat them other than them. And that's where they have to, you're right, they have to clean up the messes with, they have to make sure that they have the right personnel on the field, the guys that can actually hold on to the ball, make sure Travis Kelce's not triple teamed on every play, and allow him to get open, and they'll get it cleaned up.
Yeah, and
I don't see that being a problem. Yeah, I don't see that being a problem.
How do we take away Travis Kelce being triple teamed? We have players like Rashee Rice and Marcus Valdes-Scantling get better, then corners are going to pay more attention, and Kelce might be maybe double teamed instead of triple teamed. Usually teams do at least double team him because they know better. But somehow the man still gets open. So Yeah, Kelsey, he's awesome. But thank you for coming on the show. It was an
Oh,
awesome
anytime,
show. It
anytime,
was awesome.
anytime. And you can come on ours anytime. Whenever you want to come on, you just jump on.
Nice.
So,
Okay, well,
all right, man.
thanks for tuning in. Peace, everybody.
Hey, peace out.